Yo, 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 guys, what is up, and welcome back to another episode of the Warriors Invitational. It's your boy Gotham with my boys Matt and Chuck. Today, we're joined by our guy Slim. Slim, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Warriors Invitational. As always, trying to get fans, people on the show to talk dubs, talk hoops. What do we got? And we got one of our first Warriors guests on today. Slim, you Warriors fan, part of Dub Nation, man. So appreciate you hopping on. How you doing, man?
Yes, sir. Doing good, man. Excited to be here. Talk about these words, man.
Yeah, let's talk about these Warriors, man. Matt, Chuck, how we doing, guys? Been a minute. Chuck, sir, I know you're got the nice little setup right here with the pillow on the back. Get well soon, man. But look at that dedication right there, man. No days off, Chuck, sir. But yeah, how we doing, guys?
Yeah, working through my flu game here. See what I can do. Hopefully Matt's doing a little better.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. A win is a win. I'll take it. I've accepted that my feet are both sitting on the depths of hell right now. So that's just how things are going, man. You accept where you're at, and you enjoy what goes well.
Hey, man, you said it, bro. Like it is a win. Win's a win, and you know what? This year especially has taught us to enjoy those moments. But the Warriors obviously coming off a kind of a subpar, heartbreaking homestand. Obviously coming off the hiatus from the passing of Coach Decky. Great win against the Hawks. Just an emotional night win, and then back-to-back heartbreakers, man. Lost by 1 point to the Kings, 1 point to the Lakers in double overtime. Just a classic Steph LeBron matchup. We've seen these Lakers a lot in the last year-ish or so. And then bounce back against Joel Embiid, obviously a little banged up, but that Sixers squad has looked good this year. No Maxi, but we've been saying it for a while, man. It's been just stacked dubs any way necessary. So the Warriors go 2-2, starting back up and as they kind of look to hit on the road, man. But kind of a different look to this team. Obviously, a new starting lineup with Draymond obviously back, but you got Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Kuminga, and Draymond, and the Wiggins Kuminga minutes. That was something that we've talked about before Draymond was back, but Steve Kerr mentioned it. Talking about how that two-man group was not looking as good as it has. But with the return of Draymond, we're seeing that the Warriors have a legit five-man unit that they can throw out there. I think Steve Kerr said it. You can see it on the floor. It passes the eye test. These guys are putting together a good stretch, and at a time that the Warriors really need to start finding some wins. But just want to kick it off there, man. Slim, start us off, brother. What's your thoughts on the new starting lineup with J.K. Wiggins in there with Draymond, and you got Steph and Clay, obviously. The Warriors have something they can build on, man. Obviously they need that something, a spark. Is that it? Is this the starting of a new page in this season?
Yeah, for sure. I love this lineup. Draymond to me, like he make everything work. He's the connector, getting guys better looks, putting them in the right position on offense, and getting guys easy looking transitions and things like that. Even on defense, like his nonstop communication, installing that confidence in guys. It's just been a nice sight to see for sure. So yeah, I love this lineup, and as you mentioned, uh, probably our best lineup. Honestly, like we got a legit five we could throw out there every night. So yeah, I love what I've been seeing so far for sure.
Yeah, I think you've been hitting on the fact that like Slim, I love that, man. They have a group. Like, they have five guys right now,
Yeah,
which that hasn't been the case all year. Uh, And I also just fully agree. Draymond is just like the hive mind for these guys, like especially on defense. Like you can just tell he's always barking, he's always talking, and those two guys, Wiggins and Kuminga, benefit the most from that, I think. Um, but no, they have a group now that can theoretically at least Wiggins can kind of be your point of attack guy, right? Kuminga should be able to handle some bigger wings along with Clay. Um, Hiding Steph's always kind of the goal. Not saying Steph's bad on D or whatever, but he's the smallest guy out there, right? No, I think it's just having a good group's huge, and it actually we'll get into this later, but it kind of changes the feel on Wiggins going forward a bit because he's actually looked really good for a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Looks aggressive, especially in that Philly game. I don't know if it's like an Embiid Kansas type thing or what the deal is, but the guy was going to the rack. He was going to the rack for ferocity too. I think he had 4 dunks against Philly too, but I don't know the last time Wiggins dunked at all. So that was huge. And that three ball is starting to look a little better. Guy was 6 for 6 in the free throw line. Yeah, this group just works, especially Wiggins and Draymond are kind of both the keys in a lot of ways. Like Draymond, like Slim, like you said, man, hive mind, right? Controls that defense, gets those guys connected, but Wiggins needs that more than anybody else. And the fact that it's actually showing up, like again, if you got 5 guys who you can throw out there, that's not a small group. Draymond's small, but JK is not small for his position. Wiggins isn't small for his position. Same for Clay, obviously. So I love it. I hope Steve continues to roll with it. I am exceptionally fucking nervous for Chris Paul coming back, man, because Steve Kerr might put him in for Draymond, man. He might put pods in for Wiggins. So I don't know what's gonna happen, dude. But I love it right now. I hope it continues. Wiggins' seat is a little cooler. Chuck, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm glad, Slim, that you mentioned too the transition game because we know it's been an issue for the Warriors all season. They're dead last in transition opportunities, but they're also one of the worst teams in actually converting those. So we know this team has a size problem. But the problem is that the guys they have with size are not triggering the transition game. I love Kevon Looney, but have you ever seen the guy score a fast break point in his life? I don't think so. Um, and so having that smaller, more athletic lineup with Wiggins hitting those leak outs, like he had a couple clean plays against Philly where he contests a shot, he breaks down the floor, someone gets the rebound, head up, they find him. Kuminga just taking a rebound, pushing it in semi transition, and attacking the defense while they're still trying to scramble and figure out matchups. That's going to be huge because I don't think that it's the kind of team where they're going to go from dead last in the league to one of the top units just because of changing the starting lineup. But if you can just not be the worst, like if you can at least be a threat in transition, that makes teams play you differently. Like they're going to play a little more hesitant. They're going to rebound in a different way. And so I think that's huge with the small lineup is getting more easy buckets out and running.
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of just building off that, but like just having your best athletes on the floor, man. Like you have Wiggins and JK who are just upper echelon of like athletes in this league, and you got your 3 best defenders. I mean, you got Wiggins, who obviously we've seen what he can do on the defensive end, in that championship run. Draymond, nobody needs to talk about how great of a defender he is, and JK is really coming along in his own, man. And onto an all on ball defender. You're seeing him read these passing lanes a lot better. And so for a starting lineup that, has gotten off to slow starts, whether that's, made or miss shots, but defensively, that we've seen them give up, 35 and a quarter, 75 and a half. So like to get your best defenders out there, and it just shows that, Draymond missing so much time as he did. This team, I forget who said it, but this team isn't built to win without, a healthy Draymond Green playing, and you're seeing that in action. So to finally, it feels like this is really kind of the first time that this team is having an opportunity to do that, with Steph, Clay, Draymond being healthy, Wiggins starting to figure out, like you said, Matt, and JK coming into his own, man. And I think the last, forget what the number is, but 11 games or something, he scored over 25 points, 20 points at least. I think he's averaging like 26 or 27 or something like that in that stretch. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's up there. But like this is the leap that we've been waiting for. Like Kuminga's made that leap. Wiggins is obviously getting his feet underneath him again. And then it's just opening stuff up for Steph, man. Like obviously he was coming off a slump. I know the whole all-star snub thing, but after that, it seemed like he's really kind of locked back in terms of making some of these shots. Obviously the 46 piece against the Lakers and stuff like that. So I think that you are kind of starting to see this team of how it was intended to be built. Obviously, you still have Chris Paul's out for a few more weeks. GP is on his way back. I don't know. I think he's getting reevaluated sometime this week, I think. Same with Moses Moody, who obviously, has not really carved out that rotation spot as we'd like to, but you're starting to see this team get that, 9-10 man unit again. And the fact that they found, their trusted 5, which I think has been something that we've waited for. I think Steve Kerr said all the time, man, he hasn't found the right combinations and pressed the right buttons. And, part of that's on Steve, but also part of that is just on guys being available. And so with these 5, you just know that, what you're getting out every night. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing that we've had to struggle with is just not knowing who's going to be starting and closing lineups every night. So definitely something to build on. Excited to see how they look on this next road trip. Obviously 20 and 24. And those just makes those two heartbreaking losses even worse, man. 2020, 22 and 22 is just completely different. But the West is right there. They're 4.5 games back of the 6th seed. So like there's still a lot of season left. So there's a lot of time for your best 5 to find a way to turn this thing around.
So before we even move on, anything else, I want to get Slim's thoughts real quick. We're hitting on Wiggins, hitting on this lineup. Slim, Wiggs has looked good for a minute now. Are you trading him still? That was a big talk for a while. Are you moving Wiggs? Or are you banking on this guy continuing this play? Kind of like Steve's been saying.
It's so tough, no lie. But I may have to say we should keep him. You know, he's looked a lot better alongside Draymond. So yeah, because there were talks at first that him and Kuminga couldn't play alongside each other. But to me, Draymond, you know, he connects all that. You know, he's a guy, high IQ guy who the ultimate leader on both ends. And yeah, he put guys in position to succeed. So yeah, I think we should keep Wiggs. You know, he's been playing better as of late for sure. But if it's a
Yeah.
trade out there that you can't, you know, turn down, then you may have to move him for sure. But yeah, I think we should keep him though.
You kind of, yeah, it sounds like you kind of feel like the upside of keeping him is higher than what you get in return.
I think Steve Kerr said it too, man. Like I think I know we were talking about like the quotes he had on 95.7 the other day, where it was more so in the line of Chris Paul, but like you're not gonna get the level of player back, like you said, Slim. Just like you don't, unless it's a move that you really can't turn down. I don't know. I don't really know if that move is really out there. And for a guy like Wiggs, man, we've seen him be like the certified number 2 on a championship team, on both ends of the floor. It's just hard, like especially if you really do believe in this 5-man unit where Draymond unlocks him next to Kuminga and with Wiggins on there. It just, I don't know if it even makes sense if Wiggins is on a pretty affordable deal. It's not like you're moving off of him money wise, changes much. I think that there's other options on this team where you could look to make a move, but like you said, Matt, I think the seat's been cooling off for him. But again, like it really depends on what's out there. But from what it sounds like, it looks like Wiggins will probably be in a Warriors uniform.
Yeah, I'm predicting the same thing. Chuck, I really want to. The whole reason this whole Wiggins shit started in the first place, in a lot of ways, it probably wouldn't be if JK hadn't had the last 2 months he's had. Right, Jonathan Kuminga has been kind of what everyone had hoped from the guy since he got drafted in a lot of ways, like just this absolute force in the paint. I think Gotham kind of hit on it, like slightly better on the defensive end, especially now Draymond back. You can see him just pressure guys with a lot more confidence because you just know, playing defense with Draymond being behind you is a whole different thing than doing the opposite, right? So you're seeing a lot of that. But Chuck, can you go off for a minute, man, just of what you've seen from JK the last 5-6 weeks?
Yeah, well, just to put some stats behind it, like over the month of January, he's been the 4th most efficient scorer in the league in terms of points per possession, which is just wild, man. And especially when you consider the guys like, I'm forgetting the third, but one of the guys ahead of him is Jokic, and the other is Lauri Markkanen, who are guys that are scoring every time they touch the damn ball. I think it's really been the process for me. He's been extremely aggressive in getting downhill. He's especially worked in those mid-range counters, which I think has been huge. He's really developed that soft touch that he can pull up on. So to me, I think that's a big development we've seen. Is before with Kuminga, it was like, okay, either I'm taking this corner 3 or I'm driving into a giant crowd and making something happen. And whether that's getting fouled, getting an attempt at the rim, or just kind of throwing it somewhere, turning the ball over, it's been a little more methodical. Like he's picking good spots. If the defense completely tries to wall him off, he's got that mid-range shot really working, which has been massive. And just to throw it out, like it's been roughly a 20-game stretch ever since he entered the starting lineup after Draymond's suspension. Since then, he's been at 18 points per game, 6 boards, 2 assists, 1.2 steals and blocks, positive assist to turnover, which has been huge. But also, he's shooting 36% from deep, like pretty respectable. He's also shooting 66% on his twos, which is wild. And you consider that this isn't like, when a big man shoots 66% on twos, it's like yeah, he's rolling and cutting, he's getting putbacks. Like that makes sense. Like these are drives, these are closeout attacks, these are mid-range shots. Like these are tough buckets that he's getting. And it's been a huge development. I think, the main thing you can say is he just looks comfortable. He doesn't look like he's forcing things. He's really just kind of letting the game come to him, and we've seen the results now. He's had this massive double-digit streak, which I think is at 24 games now. But he's also six straight with 20 plus points. So we're really getting some consistency out of it, and it opens up a lot of things for the other guys on this team that need to score.
I don't think it can be said enough just like how perfect of a guy he is offensively right now to play with Steph. That the Warriors just haven't ever had a guy who plays with just like destructive force going downhill. Right, he wants to fucking destroy the basket always. You really can't get enough of that with this team. And Chuck, I also want to just bring up that his like turnaround game, that little pull up he's got going. Like that's gonna be, I think, the key to him being successful long term. Just because I don't, unless he literally becomes like a 40+% 3-point shooter, I think he's gonna be one of those guys that that defenses are always sagging off of, right? But if he can get into the paint and if there's a little like a wall up or whatever it might be, and he can kind of just elevate over and get a nice quick shot over it, that's going to be everything for him going forward, right? Because if you got to respect that, he's always going to find his way in the paint and find his way to the free throw line. Yeah, Slim, where you at, man, with our guy JK?
Yeah, you guys pretty much hit on everything, but I just love what I've been seeing from him, just playing with that irrational confidence, getting downhill, attacking the rim. I know he can shoot threes now, but I just love him getting downhill more, not settling for jump shots, things like that. But his mid-range game has been very good as of late. As you mentioned, turnaround game, pull up, it's been very good so far. And yeah, ever since he came out and said no one can guard him, he's been backing it up as of late. So yeah, just love to see him playing with that irrational confidence, Draymond constantly installing it in him and whatnot. So yeah, he can moving forward, he can be a huge piece in us trying to get back to the mountaintop. So hopefully we keep him and just keep giving him consistent minutes and things like this. So yeah.
Yeah, Gotham, is this the most? How are you feeling on the JK All Star prediction scale right now? Are you like, oh, okay, we got a guy, or how are you feeling? Because I know
I
you're
mean,
going to be
look,
honest.
I look, All Star is such a it's hard, man. Like it is hard to be an All Star, like actually be an All Star. Like there's just there's a lot of agendas and stuff like that out there. But in terms of like the type of player he is, yeah, I'm sold, man. Like I see the upside. It's really just the confidence, and I think it took really was for Steve Kerr to give him the full keys to unlock him. And look, man, we've talked about Steve giving him the opportunity to do so, and we saw it last year in the playoffs, the rebounding and stuff like that. But even the stuff you're hearing from JK now saying, and there was a quote from him the other night where he was talking about how, why would he expect to play 30 minutes if he's not doing what he's supposed to and out there. And I think so for him to embrace that mindset of like, hey, I'm going out here to, do my job and kill it. And he's doing so. And the talent obviously has been there. Like we've known Kuminga has been having this potential since he was, drafted, and we saw the athleticism. So it's exciting, man. I think Slim and Matt, one of you guys said it. I think that we've never seen Steph play with a guy like this in terms of just his ability to create, just drive to the basket. I think his ability to get to the foul line, he's getting better at the line. I feel like still part of his game that he needs to work on, but other than that, the aggressiveness is there. He's not scared of the moment. I love seeing him get that technical foul, and then just the next couple possessions was a steal and then a dunk, and I think he locked. I forget who it was. It might have been Embiid, honestly, where he was just kind of hustling for a loose ball. So it's just you're seeing all the right things, and in a season where again, like not a lot has gone right with the wins and losses, and off the court stuff, but for JK to be such a bright spot, I think going forward, especially since you have him under contract for next year as well, don't really have to worry about an extension till the end of next season. So, dude, like it's awesome, and it's just awesome to see a guy like Steph too, man. Like he's clearly loves Kuminga, and the fact that you're hearing reports of JK and guys like Pods being untouchable in terms of the young guys in some of these trade talks, that's coming from Steph, and you're seeing it in terms of even the energy on the court when Pat Bev and JK were kind of not going at it. I mean, they were both smiling at the end of it, but you see Steph just getting in there and it being there for his young guy. So look, man, I think JK the sky's the limit for what this kid can do. Just the ability that he has and he's showing. No, I'm stoked, and I think that seeing him in the start, I hope. I'm with you, Matt. I'm a little nervous for when Chris Paul comes back, just in terms of, giving Steve Kerr that the optionality to move off of a guy like JK. But at this point, man, if he does that, then Steve Kerr's he's driven by agendas then. But
My phone is going straight through the fucking TV. The first
yeah,
Steve Kerr
no.
press conference when
Kuminga goes back to
when
playing like
CP
18
closes the
minutes a
game
night, dude. Like
over JK, man.
we might as well
If
start calling
you
Mike D'Antoni or something. But
Oh my God, man. You gotta just again, you got these five guys, man. You got five guys, two of whom
yeah,
are incredible athletes, one of whom yeah, it's just we don't need to explain it. I think you guys all brought it up. The confidence thing's real. I don't know what the fuck happened with Steve Kerr, where finally I think there had to have been a talk where I was like, listen, I think you are literally the only person on this team who can do the things we need offensively right now. Like, I'm just gonna let you do it. And like I get nervous still every game when JK makes a few mistakes in a row. And I thought this was interesting. I thought Kuminga was good against Philly. I didn't think it was a great Kuminga game. He had a lot of random little fuck ups. He had a lot of misrotations on defense. He had some weird turnovers here and there, the technical foul. But the fact that he's a guy he's almost like walking into 20 now, which is like big. That's a big deal. That's huge. But it also just shows, to your guys' confidence points, like the guy has and is gaining more and more trust from the coaching staff, which is just like the team needs to give him that, or else we know they're not going anywhere.
and I mean that's the biggest part of it, right? Like I think we saw what was it, like not probably not even a month ago, where Kuminga had that report of like losing faith in Kerr and everything like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, it is a two-way
Hey,
street, man. Like there were at that point, I think we all felt Kuminga was justified in feeling like that, like getting yanked for. I think it was that Denver game where he just didn't go back in and obviously blew that whatever 18, 20 point lead in the fourth quarter. So it was justified on both sides. So to see Steve Kerr willing to let Kuminga play through his mistakes and recognizing that, hey, this guy is one of our best five players and like I need him out there. So again, it's just a good sign for sure. We'll see how that plays out, but Steve Kerr, man. Speaking of, we kind of mentioned that those comments on the radio and the trade deadline obviously coming out. What are your guys' expectations, man? Slim, I'll get started with you, man. Like what is your
so
expectation
can I
for?
just read that quote off real quick so we know
Yeah,
what was
yeah,
said
yeah.
exactly? Slim, I do want to get your thoughts, dude, as well. Steve Kerr said on the radio, "We're not going to find better players than Chris Paul and GP in a trade. It's exceedingly rare to make a deal where you can upgrade your talent to that level." Okay, yeah, Slim, your thoughts upon you know, really gleefully and happily discovering that quote, man.
Well, honestly, that's a lie in my opinion. Like, there's plenty of guys that you can upgrade, at those positions to make the contract work and things like this. So Steve definitely lying. But if you go back to what it was with Jordan Poole when Mike Dunleavy came out and said,
He's the future.
yeah, he's the future, and he was traded next week. So I don't really pay too much attention into that, but yeah, there's definitely guys out there that can help than CP and GP, but I know it's a lawyer thing and things like this. So yeah, but there's definitely guys out there. But honestly, I say I wouldn't mind keeping those guys to a certain extent. It's just you would have to upgrade the roster around them if you're going to keep them. Though. So yeah.
Yeah, Chucker.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The whole like I think the idea of like you can't I feel like this Kerr quote was just basically setting up for, hey, we're pretty much gonna stand pat, so get used to it. Um, but it does kind of annoy me when Kerr says things like, "Oh, there's no way that you could. It's hard to get a better upgrade on this." Like, with all due respect to GP, like he's a great role player in his own right, but he's making like hair over 8 million a year. He really hasn't been able to stay on the floor for a lot of different injuries. I have a hard time believing that there aren't better options out there that you could put together. Like GP2 and one other contract, even a minimum, gets you to Alex Caruso. Um, I
I think
if
even
you
without a contract, man, I think Crusoe's at 9 million. I think GP's at 8. It works one for one.
yeah, and obviously there'd be draft assets going along with that, or maybe one of the younger guys like Moses Moody. But Yeah, that whole idea just kind of bothers me because it's like I know you don't believe that, Steve. I know you know that there are better players out there. Not only better, but more available guys. And considering the status of this roster, like you can't really afford to have guys who are getting paid their value that are only playing like 50 games a year. So that I think was the main point of it that kind of bothered me.
Yeah, listen. I actually don't think Steve's lying. I love that idea. I think Steve Kerr fully believes what he's saying. Now, I think Steve Kerr has like a weird, horrible addiction to Chris Paul. Um, it's a disease, so I worry about him. But the big question is like, does Mike Dunleavy feel the same way? In my opinion, like if Mike Dunleavy feels the same way, then yeah, I think this team's in some trouble. I hated the line, I hated the quote. It's like very much a Steve Kerr and like Bob Myers line of thinking where it's like, yep, we have these guys who are good and like we like them and therefore there couldn't be a better fit. But it totally ignores the idea of fit, in my opinion, right? This team has CP is like a luxury, but not even in a good way, right? They don't need CP on this team. Um, the thing that, in my opinion, Chris Paul's greatest value is always going to be in the event of a Steph injury. I think floating at point guard will be a little easier, but like overall, I view Steve Kerr's addiction to this guy as more of an issue than like how the Warriors handle a potential Steph injury, which they actually have done decently well in the past. Granted, they had Jordan Poole to kind of cover up. Again, I thought the quote was just that's sad. It's sad stuff. Chuck, you brought it up. Like, are we pretending there's no first round picks available for this team? Are we pretending like you can't attach young guys to Chris Paul or to Gary Payton? It's weird. It's insulting, Steve. It's insulting. That's all I gotta say. I don't know, lying, not lying. I don't know. Gotham, where are you at, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. I find that hard to believe that a 38-year-old Chris Paul and an often injured GP2 are your best available like talented players that you can get with whatever $38 million if you're sending out. So I kind of agree with you, Chuck, where it's like I think that he's just kind of like just bracing everybody where they stand pat, and I think that's something you and I talked about on the last episode, Chuck, where I was getting more and more increasingly in my eyes, at least, that I don't really think that they make a move. We were talking a little bit before, but look, man, the any move that they can make at the deadline, whether that's Chris Paul, Moody, Wiggins, whoever that is, you're gonna have that same kind of stuff, if not more, in the summer. And when your team's 20 and 24, you're sitting at 12th. Like what you're really looking for now is like you really change the goalposts on what this season looks like, what a successful season looks like here. Like obviously coming into it, you thought you had what it took to win a championship, and maybe you still believe that. Obviously way more far fetched now than it was back in October, November, but you're I don't know if it makes sense to make a move under pressure or under duress of the trade deadline when, like you guys said, man, Chris Paul at $30 million, you can pick up that option. You have the same ability to trade him in the offseason. Wiggins is under contract for 4 years now, starting next season. Moody's still on his rookie deal. So like GP's under contract. So like all these moves that we are talking about that we
So
want to see.
can I cut you off, Gotham, real quick, man? Because I think we've talked about this a lot, especially the Chris Paul aspect. And it actually kind of just hit me. This is not a thought I had before, but I think the idea of trading Chris Paul now on expiring is actually going to be a lot easier next year. And that's because Chris Paul still looks like he can play a little bit of basketball right now at 38 years old. And so let's just say you're sending him somewhere. He's like, yeah, in all likelihood, he's the biggest part of his view as an asset is that he's an expiring contract, right? But if you're getting a guy who, on top of that, can play a little bit still, that's huge. Like I'm thinking about an Orlando team, for example, right? A team that has been hurting at point guard all season long. And Suggs looks good at certain points. Bolt looks good at certain points. Cole Anthony, obviously, same thing. But like, that's a team I could see wanting Chris Paul in the postseason a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Going
like
into their first
he's
playoff
good
run,
enough to
have some
play.
veteran presence. Oh, 100%. Yeah. So I'm just thinking like, hey, if I'm the Warriors, I am looking at it like, hey, in addition to being that expiring deal or potentially expiring deal, this is a guy who we can trade you and he's not going to suck ass.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
no,
And he'll be
totally. And
okay
so
for
that's
you.
why, like, like to kind of build off what I was saying just a little earlier, like I do think like if they do make a move, it is with Chris Paul. Like that is really like your biggest trade chip. And like you said, he can still play. Obviously coming off the hand injury, but it's not one of those like lower leg or knees where you're really wondering if the guy has a future in the league still. But at 38 years old, these like little nicks and stuff will pop up. But I do think, yeah. So like if there is a move to be made, I don't see how Chris Paul isn't part of that. A guy like Moody too, who is injured right now, but has shown promise. But just just with the makeup of this roster, doesn't look like he's going to be able to crack into the rotation as much as we believe in the talent that Moses Moody has. So to say that just from that Kirk quote, to say that you can't upgrade at what from a fit standpoint. Looking at the players, yeah, maybe like Chris Paul is the most talented guy like out there or biggest name, whatever. But there's definitely like a lack of a fit for a better word that like Chris Paul doesn't necessarily fit on this roster as well as a guy like a Caruso or same with like a GP2 where you're getting healthy and you're not being able to be healthy and stay on there. And again, like I don't expect Steve Kerr to be like, we're trading these guys and these guys are on the block or whatever. Like they've all kind of been on a lot of runs together. So, Steve does have that respect for a lot of these guys and obviously for Chris Paul, but I find it hard to believe that, Mike Dunleavy isn't actively like looking to trade his most valuable trade chip as the deadline comes in. So, but yeah, other than that, like I don't see them making any drastic moves though. Like you are in this position where you're kind of just in no man's land really. Like you're not going to be bad enough to keep your top whatever 3-4 protected pick this year. So that pick's gone. So you're not, there's no incentive to tank. There's no incentive to blow it all up and try to get a championship this year either. So you're kind of stuck in that weird place where if you can get into the top six, can you get into that 7th or 8th seed, win a play-in game, see what you can do in a playoff series. So I think you kind of have to move the goalposts of what you're trying to accomplish this year and then kind of reassess and retool going into the offseason.
So with all that being said, Gautam, you kind of have made your prediction, but I want to hear it officially, right? Week away from the trade deadline. I want to go around real quick and hear you guys' thoughts. Like fire out a couple names that we could probably all have, one or two, the same 3 names, if any names at all. But Slim, we'll start with you, man. Next Friday, who do you think on this roster will not be a Warrior?
So number one, I'm gonna go with CP3, right? And then I'm gonna say Loon, Kojo, and then Moody.
So,
Yeah,
can I ask you, man, are these
possible.
predictions or are these like your dreams and hopes? Like, is this like the best kid? You're the happiest here. Like CP gone, you're gonna be the happiest man on earth. What's going on?
Yeah, man. I think it just makes sense. He's the most valuable asset here, right? He's I don't think it makes sense to keep him on the team. He just doesn't fit, in my opinion, with the way we like to play and things like this. So, yeah, I think we should definitely look to package him and maybe add Moody to it as well, because we can't get Moody, as Gautam mentioned earlier. Like the way this roster is constructed, he just can't get consistent minutes. So, yeah, I think it's only us do right just to send him out as well. So, yeah,
Do the right thing. I agree. Jeff.
Mid cough.
Yeah, no, I'm yeah, I had to get a little cough out. I think guys that I think, besides Hope, because if we started to talk about guys I hope are gone, we'd be here for a while. Um,
Oh, go
but
off, dude. Let's
guys,
hear it, Chuck. Jeez Louise. Warriors hit list right here in our midst. That's tough. Go ahead.
no, I don't need to get into the whole hit list, but
Corey
I mean,
Joseph.
you could probably guess if anyone's been listening to the show, they have a pretty good idea of who I want hunted into the moon.
Get Steph
Um,
Curry off my team. Tough.
Flip that part.
yeah, no, get that get, get
That's
that
what
man
we
out.
need.
What's he done? What's he done lately? But I do think that Moses is gone. And I do get the feeling like one of the minimum contract guys is also gone. I wouldn't be surprised if they flip a Dario Saric or a Corey Joseph, convert one of their two-way guys. It's nothing against how good Dario's been because he's a great minimum signing. But, the Warriors are in save everything, every penny you can mode. And realistically, I don't know what kind of added value you're going to get for Dario instead of just, kind of rolling with the TJD experiment in what's already pretty much a lost season in terms of contention. So I wonder if that's something to consider. So yeah, that would be my guess is Moody somewhere else, and then one of Corey Joseph or Dario, if not both.
You don't think, to be clear, you're saying CP is a Warrior next Friday?
I think so. I think they roll into him with the offseason because, um, obviously it's the same argument that you can make right now. But if I'm a team trading for Chris Paul in the offseason, I would assume whatever team trades for him is probably not looking to contend. And then they can go ahead and say, hey, all right, like we can explore rerouting him. And if we don't find any takers, then he's non-guaranteed. So we just cut him. We free up the money. We free up the roster spots. We move on. So that's why I think they probably stand pat and just see what they can work out over the next 38 games.
Well, I'm rooting for Slim to be right, Jeff. You can go fuck yourself. Gotham, go ahead.
Uh, I hope Slim's right too, man. I hope Chris Paul's off. I hope Moody's off, and that's nothing against Moses, like you guys said, man. I hope the kid
Yeah,
just
for
gets a
sure.
shot. I would love to move out Corey Joseph, man. Like Chucky said, I hate the guy. Like something he's been fine too. Like this is nothing really against him. He makes my blood boil whenever I see
Oh
him
boy.
on the court. Every shot he takes, even when he like banks in some stupid three or passes something. I don't know. The guy pisses me off. He's on that Brad Wanamaker level for me. And he hasn't been that bad.
Don't. I'm
Hasn't
sorry,
been
man.
that
You
bad.
can't put anybody in the
That's just how he makes me feel.
Brad Wanamaker was in a tier of his own, man. That guy
That's
was.
just how he makes me feel sometimes. But yeah, no, if I'm being realistic, I don't. I'm with Chuck, man. I don't know if they make a move. There's nothing that this front office has really done of substance except for that D'Lo and Wiggins trade that I can really point to say like, hey, they're willing to take a shot. And again, that was in a lost season where you knew D'Lo was not part of the long term future, so it was more so just like the inevitable was just happening. So until I see them make pull the trigger at the deadline for something major, I'm just gonna go by what I've seen. So I believe that this team is gonna stand pat for the most part. If anything, again, I think it'd be something like Chuck said, man, like a Moody and some of the minimum guys do some money saving moves, cost cutting stuff. But yeah, I don't see them doing anything of substance, sadly. But kind of goes back to our original talking point earlier. It feels like, they also want to see what this 5-man group and building off from there can look like. So, not saying again, like it's not going to change drastically what the outcome of the season is, in terms of a championship, but it gives you a lot of stuff to look at in terms of when you're looking in the summer to retool and moves to be made then. I think you're going to get a lot more data to support that, as Chuck mentioned last time. So, yeah, I don't see it. I just think they haven't seen enough from this group fully healthy, and maybe you won't even get that opportunity. But yeah, I don't see them making too many bigger moves.
Yeah. So first of all, I think what we're all describing is what I would call passive disappointment, right? Like the Warriors make a move, where they're trading a guy that we don't get to see play a whole lot for a guy who maybe also isn't going to play a whole lot. I'm expecting to be actively disappointed in that I think the Warriors, listen, I'm not going to lie, there's Gotham, pre 2024 Gotham on my right shoulder saying nice things to me. Slim, I don't know if you're familiar, Gotham has been like the greatest homer of all time. He's always
I'm in my
positive.
Revenge of the Sith era right now. Just
Yeah,
like
that's tough, man.
Anakin Skywalker got turned to the dark side, bro. Like this is.
But my inner Eeyore is sitting on my left shoulder and he's saying horrible things to me, man. Like really just truly dark things. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I kind of think that I think Moody's gone. I'm not gonna lie, I have a feeling Wiggins is gone, and I have a feeling we're not gonna like the return. Um, that's just my gut. I'm usually wrong about everything, not just on the podcast. So hopefully that keeps going. But I'm feeling right now like Wiggins and Moody are gone for not a whole lot, and especially at a time when Wiggins is playing well. I could see the Wiggins thing being a cost cutting thing. I can see Moody getting moved for like
Yeah.
a first round pick in the future or something like that. Um, but no, I'm not feeling good about the trade deadline. I do think CP will still be a Warriors. Slim, I hate myself for saying it, and God, I hope you're right, man. But I yeah, that's where I'm at. I think those two guys are gone. I fully expect to see Corey Joseph starting games in the next month or so. And something crazy is gonna happen, man. Steph's gonna get hurt. Chris, I'm going off. I'm going off the ledge now. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done. Slim, any last thoughts, man, on the trade deadline, dude?
Oh boy. Yeah, I would say like moving forward though, the Warriors definitely have to be careful in the sense of like from a financial standpoint, they so deep in the luxury tax, like eventually you have to pay Kaminga, right? And Clay a free agent after this season. So it's a lot of things in the air right now. And We got Draymond on payroll, obviously Steph, Wiggs. Who else we got? Loon, GP2. So it's a lot of tough decisions to be made because Kaminga, he's going to be asking for his money. I don't think he's going to give us like a
That's
10
right.
friendly deal. Who knows? So yeah, but that's something interesting to look into moving forward, though, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you can't ignore that part, Gotham. But yeah, go ahead, man.
no, I was about to say that's a great point, and I think that's especially in a season where it's for all intents and purposes a lost season, however you want to say it, like that is probably going to be Joe Lacob's biggest thing of like, hey, how do we stay under the tax? How do we not pay?
I gotta pause. I'm not gonna lie. Chuck said it earlier. I didn't like it. Gotham, I didn't think you would say it. Lost season is so tough. Are we there right now? It's gone. There's no chance. Nothing.
I think for me, look, the season's lost in terms of like we came into this year expecting that this team could win a championship. I think that's lost. But I think moving the goalposts I think now if they make the playoffs and can make a play-in run and get a first-round series, I'd consider that a successful season. So
I'm so disappointed in you, man. I am so
thanks,
disappointed.
man.
What have you become, dude? This is
Age has turned me cynical, but nah, Brett. I mean, realistically, like, look, man, if they win a championship, shit, I'll pay everybody that listens to this episode like $100 out of my own pocket. So, shit,
Yeah.
don't bleed me dry. But
Gotham's not gonna put this one out. Watch.
shit, but I'll be.
Yeah, staying on the second apron is important.
Yeah, the second apron's
Yeah.
there. So like, there's a lot of other outside stuff that at first, like, they're not winning 73 games this year. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's like it's just not gonna happen. So but yeah, before we get out of here, man, we got a 5-game road trip coming up. Memphis, Atlanta, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, and Indy. So a doozy coming up in the next, I think it's 5 games in damn near like a week and a half. So like a lot of games coming up. Obviously, the Warriors have had a little bit of break in the schedule and stuff like that. So a lot of games coming up here soon. We got Memphis, Atlanta, and Brooklyn. Let's start with just those 3 for before we probably record after that. But Slim, man, let me hear your predictions, man. We play the Grizzlies, who have beat us. Shout out Gigi Jackson. Still don't know who. The Nets, obviously another team kind of in that middle ground, and the Sixers again, who we just saw. So the Hawks and then the Nets. So that 3-game stretch, man. Memphis, Atlanta, and Brooklyn. What do the Warriors look like? Do they officially turn this thing around?
Yeah, I feel like we could definitely go undefeated in that stretch for sure. As you mentioned, the 5 lineup, the new lineup with Draymond at the 5, this team looks so different. So, yeah, I feel like we should definitely beat them. But I wouldn't be surprised if Gigi Jackson pop off again like he did last time. But that was crazy.
I still have nightmares about that game.
It was so crazy. I was so close to going to that game, bro. Wow.
Oh yeah, 5-0. You're saying 5-0, Slim.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I fucking love it. Gotham, I don't even know what you think you're doing here, man. Chuck, where are you at?
Dude, Gotham, you've been 1-up, man.
It's impressive. It's impressive.
I'm used to a 3-0 or a 4-0 from you, but 5-0. I mean, that's next level.
Bro. We weren't even talking all 5. And Slim just said, "Hey, we going 5-0, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love
You're
it.
on the spot. But who was it again? Who were those next few?
So we got the Grizzlies, the Hawks, and the Nets, and then the Sixers and Pacers. But I was gonna say the first 3.
This is the annoying part of recalibrating your brain where I look at that and I'm just like, oh man, that's a lot of mid. And then I'm like, oh right, we're also mid. So I don't know. I think they can pull off 2-1. Like we'll see what happens with Atlanta. They might have a lot of moves going down. It sounds like Brooklyn's pretty heavy in talks too. I mean Grizzlies, they're just like they're barely above water to have enough players to like play in the games. So that's one you gotta win. But I think 2-1. Yeah, extremely wounded. But yeah, I think 2-1 is reasonable. Start that crawl back towards the play-in. It's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I just don't even know, man. They beat the Hawks last time. Beating any team 2 times in a row is it makes me feel skeptical. Same thing goes for that Philly game coming up. I don't know what Embiid's stats is gonna be. Hope he's all good, obviously.
Maxi's probably back too.
Oh geez, man, yeah. Maxi's gotta eat. Listen, so I am gonna go 1-2 to save my soul. Part of me thinks 0-3 is on the table. Another part of me that little 2023 Gotham on my shoulder is saying he's saying 3-0 is possible. Now that little Gotham is Slim on my shoulder is saying 3-0 is possible. So Slim, I appreciate you. Gotham, I once again cannot express with words my disappointment in this turn you have taken.
Hey,
And I
hopefully
feel
I fixed it right now, man. Slim
and
inspired
I
me.
feel
Slim
responsible, dude. I
inspired
feel
me with
somewhat
my
responsible for it.
Slim inspired me with the reminder of the optimistic post, and I do think they go 3-0 at least to start this. I think the Memphis game, like Chuck said, that they got we might have to suit up, bro. Like they can't even play like 12 guys. The Hawks again, a team should beat. Chuck, I like how you said that we're playing a lot of mid, but we are mid too. So
Hell yeah.
a lot of toss ups, but I mean I don't see why they can't win 3 games. The last the last 4 games at homestand, it looked like they started putting stuff together. So hopefully it's a trend in the right direction. So I'm gonna go 3-0. And the Warriors will be a game under 500 hopefully by the time they go back to Philly. And Barrier Sports been taking care of Philly so far. So hopefully we can do that. Shout out the Niners in the Super Bowl and Eagles fans crying about it. So
yeah, I
before we
mean,
get out of
again,
here, man,
Gotham, just 3. I want to say welcome back for the time being. I expect, again, you do what's best for you, man. This guy needs to stay. I'm sorry. If you're saying things are horrible, I'm not gonna lie. I might just skip out in a few episodes and let you guys do your thing, man. I need some
all right.
counterbalance here,
Look,
okay?
man, I'll be the Nick Wright and just like say things I don't even believe, but I could
No,
do
I don't
that
want
for
that. I don't want
I could
that.
do that for the show. But Slim, man, hey, thanks for hopping on, dude. This was a really fun conversation. Appreciate it on the pod. Anything you got to shout out, man? I know you got your own podcast. A lot of other cool stuff that I've been seeing on the timeline. So, dude, plug yourself, man. Tell everybody where to find you, and yeah.
Yeah, you can find me on To The Galaxy Pod at YouTube and on Twitter. So yeah, I try to do like a weekly episode covering the Warriors and different things across the league. So yeah, man.
Hell yeah. Hey, check out Slim Man To The Galaxy Pod. We'll drop the description, everything when we post this. But before we get out of here, Chuck, Matt, anything you guys got coming up? Shouting out.
Yeah, I'm writing a piece on Kaminga. Nah, just kidding.
I was like, you mother. um, yeah, no. Once the illness leaves my body and I can string coherent thoughts together again, gonna keep working on my Jonathan Kaminga project.
I'm
Tracking
gonna
some
pause
of
you
his
real quick. Those exact words you just said, Steve Kerr could say the same thing, man. Once the illness leaves my body, I'm gonna keep working on my Jonathan Kaminga project. Anyway, keep going.
Oh no, I'm becoming Steve. It's my worst nightmare. But yeah, no, gonna keep grinding away on that. It's a lot of film to get through, a lot of stats to break down. But hopefully have that out in a few weeks for the people. First big Warriors project of the year.
Hell yeah. Check out Chuckster, man. Matt and I just follow us on Twitter, man. We got you guys covered on game days and stuff like that. Slim, again, thank you so much for joining us, brother. As always,
sir.
everybody, thank you for listening, watching, following, whatever it is. Keep doing that. And we'll catch y'all guys on the next episode, man. Peace.